All right, YouTube Live, we are here with Jeremy Nichols and Matt Farrell for your Survivor Series WarGames 2024 NoSo post show. Farrell, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Ryan? Glad to be here.
Jeremy, what's up with you?
Another day, my friend. I'm happy to be a part of the team.
Good. Well, we are here to review this Survivor Series match overall. 5 to 10 minutes after the pay-per-view, I feel like it was a success. A flat start, so to speak, but I feel like they found their footing and gained momentum throughout the whole show, and they ended with their peak. I think that's the way very old school-ish, right? But I think that's overall how you should be doing it. Should I make Farrell take off that Cleveland Cavalier sweatshirt?
I mean, we were doing good. I mean, Atlanta is our kryptonite. Too many big wings. We're too small for the big wings.
But overall, I think we should just start from the start and just get rolling into this thing. Team Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Io Sky with Bayley defeated the Judgment Days, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, and Candice LeRae in a women's war games in 38 minutes and 15 seconds. Overall, this was pretty bad to start. I'm not going to lie. It got off to really rough footing. Nia Jax to start this match for the heel side was a choice, Matt Farrell. And I feel that, I don't know, it kind of hampered the momentum of the match and really kind of set the tone of the clunkiness. Nia Jax has been massively improved since returning to the WWE, but this just isn't a spot for her to kind of get her shine in and use her to her strengths. Overall, Matt, what do you think of starting Nia with this match?
I was surprised. When she started coming down, I was like, did I miss something? Because it just didn't seem like that's the person you want to go 45 minutes, especially considering everyone else on the team. I assumed it was almost anybody else to take that slot.
And Jeremy, and the opposing to her was Bayley, and you figured that would be a good spot, but I just felt like they were totally out of sync. They did not kind of mesh, and it really, like I said earlier, just got this War Games off to a really bad start, really, honestly. It just took everyone out of it. Everyone was excited for War Games, and it just didn't feel like it was up to par.
Yeah, I kind of take an old school feeling to the War Games in that to me, the best person to start is someone that like Bayley, not Nia Jax. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so my example is always like, it should be the Arn Anderson of each team that kicks it off, right?
Sure. Yeah, some would say the Jey Uso of each team, right?
Right, there you go. Yeah. And then Nia Jax can come in.
He started off 3 War Games in a row the last 3 years. And you figure Bayley would be good, but she couldn't even save this. And honestly, something's off with Bayley. I don't know if she's playing into the character. Maybe perhaps she was the one that attacked Jade Cargill, but not really much mentioned of Jade in this match at all. But out third, well, the advantage was for the baby faces. So it was kind of, maybe that's why, in retrospect, they wanted Nia Jax to start this. The irresistible force, Nia Jax, had to oppose 2 babyface women right away. So maybe, I guess. But in second on the babyface side of things was Naomi, the birthday girl. And I was like, why is she wearing a birthday hat? But overall... Jeremy, I guess it was her birthday, and they did say so on the post show that it was her birthday. So that was a choice.
Yeah, you know, I liked I like the hat because I like it when they acknowledge. They don't always acknowledge that kind of stuff, you know. So it's kind of nice. They could have gave her the night off though. That would have been even nicer. It is her birthday, but yeah, it was a choice. You know what I liked in the match? The choice they made was a toilet seat for a weapon. I've never seen that before. And that was a choice.
as your plumber on the team here, I did like that. Farrell in next was on the babyface side was not Tiffany Stratton. It was Candice LeRae. Tiffany's momentum was cut off by Candice, and she was then entering the ring, still looking for weapons. Toilet seat not to be found, but I feel like she grabbed 2 weapons. Grabbed 2 chairs, threw them in the ring, and then it was searching for something else. So I don't know if the prop teams kind of screwed these women or if they were trying to get over with a frantic, I don't know, what was the point of all that? That just really took me out of it too as well.
Yeah, there was so much plunder. It was like it was like, have you ever been like in the middle of something moving or whatever, and there's stuff everywhere and you can't get around and it bogs everything down, just even in your house? Like, that's what was going on here. There was too much too soon, especially for a setup like this that wasn't, it was more like a rivalry, not a hate feud,
Yeah, and it was two rivalries kind of combined into one, mix in the weirdness of the Crown Jewel where the two heels faced each other, and that weird energy in that match kind of brought that heel team together where they were plucky, but they were together, but they were adversaries. And I don't know. It was just this
weird.
Was a mess. We're halfway through introductions here, and we're all in agreement, I assume, that it should have been a Survivor Series match. Coming in, I agree. I thought so. And even still here at WarGames, think about all this. My thing is, WarGames should be sacred. There's a great history with WCW, and then they did a really good job with it in NXT as well. And they shouldn't be bastardizing with these shitty women. I don't mean it like that, but they didn't even set these women up correctly. I previewed this with Richie, and we came to the conclusion but they did a decent job. But even to start it with Nia and this clunkiness, looking for all the weapons, it's just out of sync, and it's kind of bastardizing the WarGames name, guys. I hate to be a Debbie Downer on it, but I don't want to say it pissed me off because I really don't care that much. But overall, it took me out of it, and it takes away from an awesome main event that we had.
It's like kind of what Hell in the Cell became, where they were looking for matches to put in the stipulation. And they don't want to be like, well, why don't the women get one? And I think you can, like the last couple of years with Damage Control, you had the group, the Super Friends get together to take them down. It makes sense. But this was just, I hate this person. I hate this person. And let's all come together. It wasn't a group. It seemed like it was individuals. And that kind of killed, like, why would you get yourself involved in this scenario? Like, can someone tell me why Io Sky was in this other than being the #1 contender? Like, it didn't make sense.
I put in my notes that it was like weapons are us. There's just weapons everywhere.
Not even good ones either. Like, we peaked with the toilet seat.
I will say the one spot that I liked was Stratton and Sky coming off the corners, and one had the trash can and the other just did a swanton. I thought the trash can spot with her doing a moonsault with a trash can on her head was pretty awesome. I was like,
it looked awesome, but it's the third or fourth time that she's done it in a WarGames. This is her seventh or sixth or seventh WarGame. That's why she was on the team. It's all contrived, and it's unfortunate because it takes away from the women. But I will say, the purple in matching her sequence, it did look cool. It's the video package highlight of it all. And
let me ask you this. When the Money in the Bank briefcase came out, if she had everything better, like, would it have elevated the match just a little bit?
I was like,
I thought she was going to cash it in.
Yeah, I always thought there was like, oh, it's cute. Well, she didn't have it, so it's like in the back of your mind. They didn't mention it on SmackDown last night, so it's like, it's not like they're throwing it in front of you. So I'm like, oh, perhaps they're really going to do this. But it was weird and contrived because she just stood at it and she was glancing and she was doing do I do it? Do I do it? It's the whole trope of the Money in the Bank mixed into the women's WarGame trope. It had too much tropes going on here overall. And then it was a bad thing. I didn't even get through breaking down the women coming into this match because it was clunky and it was bad. And did it seem to you guys that Belair was totally underused in this match as well? She's one of the better women in this match. And I feel like she was just kind of laying around a lot and not using her strengths. Well,
the story was Rhea trying to get to Liv, or will there be a cash in for Nia? And she was just she didn't really have a story. So maybe you give her a spot or two, but if you're focusing in on her, she wasn't part of the tale they were telling.
Yeah.
I think a lot of her tale is going to come out after with the whole, Cargill attack and all that jazz, but she kind of just seemed to be there.
Yeah. Now, did you brought up the briefcase, so let's kind of put cap on that, Jeremy. Did you think that she was actually going to cash it in, or do you think it was just being a part of the match?
I honestly thought she was going to cash it in, because at that point I'm like, well, what else are you going to do? Because we all kind of knew who was going to win anyway. So if you want to subvert, that and be like, oh, we tricked you, it really wasn't going to, we're going to have the Money in the Bank happen here, like that would have been cool. I really thought they were going to go for it. And then, like you said, they just turned it into a spot. And it's like, oh, come on. What else? Isn't that like the best opportunity? That's the best time to cash in, right? It's War Games, there's weapons, everybody's down.
So it was cute. Yeah, it was
so you
cute
just stood there and you did nothing,
It was cute that they had both champs there, and it's like, what? And then so she was double confused, right? That's what it felt like. It just felt like, unfortunately for the women in this match, it felt like a part of the match, not, it started like, oh, this is what we do next in the match. It felt like these women were thinking the whole time. I think what really took me out of it most was every fucking woman looking for a weapon. And that was just like, ugh, like, could we be any more fucking playing into the gimmick instead of into the match, right? And then I think the worst one of them all was Liv, frightened Liv. I was like, oh, she's scared. Perfect. Like, what is she going to come back with Dom? We're going to actually get some heat in this match. I'm like, good, bring out Dom so we can actually get some heat instead of fake pizzazz in this match. And I was like, nope, she's got the shitty wiffle ball bat that she is not going to crack anyone over the skull with, and they're going to gently hit her with someone's ribs, like Nia gently using the Hulk Hogan NWO chair shot from '98 or whatever that was. And it was just like, what a... All right, so I'm totally out of it at this match, but I will say, I will give them their flowers. The final 5 minutes in the sequence, and once kind of Rhea Ripley took off her mask, they kind of caught a groove and got where they had to get to. But for 38 minutes, leading into the final 3 to 4 minute stretch, was rough.
Yeah. This could have been, and it should have been a Survivor Series match, because at least then you could have various eliminations to set up each person, give each person something to do, and then by the end of it, Rhea gets the win, all is well. And you brought up, I didn't even think about, where's Dominic Mysterio? I'm like, where is he at? You mentioned it, and now I'm like, where was he at? It seems kind of weird that he wasn't there in some capacity after, and like you said, he gets major heat, so at least he could have done something, but I guess he had the night off or something. I don't know why they didn't have him out there. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I figured that
he does have rough times at family holidays. Maybe he was in jail again.
Yeah, it'll come out Monday that he had a rough Black Friday where he tried stealing the parents' credit card or something. So, yeah. But yeah, overall, guys, I think we've kind of gone on and off about this match. 13 minutes in, it's just a miss for me, guys. Like 2.5 stars, and that's bad for a War Games match. The riptide at the end looked fucking phenomenal. Like you mentioned, the moon spot, the moonsault with the trash can is a great highlight for a clip. Did it fit into this match? Sure. But was the structure built to that match for the substance within this match to be fairly well? No, it was just convoluted, weak, and unfortunate. See, to me, what makes me mad about it the most is, again, I'm not getting mad about a War Games match, but it makes the women, we're supposed to be like elevating the women, bring them in this match. To me, it just brings them down. It makes them seem like we're forcing the equality on when they are fucking equal to begin with. Like this isn't 1998. Like we've established that they're equal to the men on this roster. They're getting an Intercontinental and a U.S. title, and they're there. They have 2 Rumbles. The Rumbles are usually just as good. But the War Games, I don't know if it's the structure where they're half the size of the men and they can't be menacing enough to have them live up to it all. But overall, just the total miss for me. Like I said, 2.5, and that's bad for a War Games match. I appreciate the 3 spots that they pulled off within, but the story and the structure and the build to it just was lackluster and disappointing.
To me, it seems like for all the equality they give the women, they like block it to a point too. Like they had to use weapons in this, where the best War Games don't use weapons. You don't need weapons. It's War Games.
It's not built around the weapons. The weapons are used within. Yeah. So yeah,
a couple fun spots, but wasn't worth the journey to get there.
Yeah, it's cool on the like the highlights for the next year of it all, right? So, Io Sky's been in 7 war games since she's flipped off three times now with the trash can. Let's put it on a resume and the stats in the corner or whatever. So it is what it is. All right. And honestly, the weird and clunkiness kind of continued here with Shinsuke Nakamura defeating LA Knight via pinfall to win the United States Championship 9 minutes and 45 seconds. I feel that this match would have benefited from going third, right? I feel that if we put the IC three-way here, like we would have, I get like the structure of putting like the worst match after the WarGames match, but I felt that it would have been like, because I was like, oh wow, he won. And then I was like, oh wow, he won. Like, I guess he couldn't lose again if he was going to mean anything. And perhaps a step back for LA Knight would be 2 steps forward in the long run. I like the story of the match. Playing kayfabe wise, establishing the Black Mist kind of took LA Knight off of his game. I don't know if the title drop on the entrance was real or not, but it played into LA Knight being not in his head. I wouldn't say LA Knight's title run was stagnant or bad. He had a plethora of good matches. He had a plethora of making chicken salad out of chicken shit of the SmackDown mid card. Unfortunately, he kind of took Game 7 and made it about him and turned it into a 3-way at Crown Jewel, but that Crown Jewel match was excellent. He had to mix in a few matches with Santos that were excellent. Good enough anyways. And then mix in the excellent one match that he had with Logan Paul to win it at SummerSlam. 4 months later, I would consider it a win of a title reign for LA Knight, but I'm not sure if this is to take it off him for him to win it back. Jeremy, let's start with you. What did you think of the match, and what do you think of the decision to take the belt off LA?
I thought the match was solid. It wasn't like great or anything, but it wasn't terrible.
No.
They painted themselves into a corner with Nakamura because they wasted him for the last 2.5, 3 years. So they finally take him off TV. He gets a rest. He comes back. He's got a new outfit. He's got slightly new music. So, okay, we've repackaged him a little bit. You can't have him lose here. So what was the point of booking?
Anything, you're right. I know.
Yeah, why book him into the title match if you can't have him lose? And then I'm worried that LA Knight is getting to the point where he doesn't need a title. And like, he didn't need the US title. It was cool that he had it, but he's so over that he doesn't need it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, he definitely earned it. But it's like, I'm worried that he's going to get to that point where they're like, you don't need a title. And he's going to be like, in essence, like Jake Roberts or Dolph Ziggler, where he's always going to show up and do really good and entertain and be great, but we're not going to give him anything big because what's the point? You don't need it. And that's a shame because he deserves to be in there, at least contending for a title, but I don't know that he needs it anymore.
I think you almost had to have him lose the title, whether it was to Shinsuke or anybody, because in those 4 months, he's gone through the whole heel mid card. Who's left for him to face? We went right back. We were going back to Legado here the last couple of weeks again. Like been there, done that. He went through them. So now, because he finally did get the win at SummerSlam, and what was a really good match. So now he's not a choke artist. And now Shinsuke is not a choke artist. And for right now, you've got 2 now viable guys, and they can flip to the other side and you get some fresh matches for a while, whether Knight gets it back in the next few months by Mania or down the road. But now he's a viable guy, and now you have new stories to tell. And I enjoy LA Knight, but his stories with Andrade and Carmelo and Legado, like, I've seen it. There was nothing left to tell there. And maybe you kind of keep them on the back burner doing something until we get a new draft and things move around and we can tell new stories.
All right, over under of the Royal Rumble of Shinsuke Nakamura as U.S. champion. Jeremy, what say you?
I don't think he's going to do very well in it, but he doesn't need to. I don't think he'll. I mean, because he already won it once, and they kind of ruined that. So I don't see him doing. I think he's just going to be another body. I think is going to. Yeah. What'd you say?
I think Ryan means
I just don't know who.
Is he going to hold the title through the Rumble? Not how he did in the match.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would say I would have him hold it if you want. I would almost have LA Knight chase him again, since the chase is always better when a heel has it. But I would still leave it on him, at the Rumble, because again, we just repackaged him. He just came back. You can't have him lose right away. You just, unless you do like a screwy finish. But he'll keep the title for a little while.
Yeah, Jeremy. Matt, I was just using that as a landmarker for like, oh, will he be champion in 2
I think he will.
months, right? So, all right. Well, yeah, he feels like a transitional champion in a way, right? But I just don't know who he's going to transition to, because we just kind of shit on the whole mid card for the last 5-10 minutes. But overall, it's a good match. It was a good match, good enough match in a oh wow moment, right? Reason why I said this kind of should have been third, in my opinion, and the IC should have been second, because once this finish happened, I was kind of like, all right, well, they're not going to turn both belts over in a way, just because I'm a smart mark and can't talk myself into anything, right? So I was just like, all right, well, that finish of the US title kind of took away from the awesome building finish that we got here. Now, if we in the back burner, if I didn't have the U.S. title change in my mind, I would have been like, wow, this fucking WarGames, this IC match here at WarGames is fucking ramping up. Braun Breaker defeats Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser, the Intercontinental Championship, in a triple threat match in 14 minutes and 25 seconds. Bombfest right away, caught a groove. I think my favorite part of this match was like the camera work. First of all, the camera work in the women's WarGames was horrible, but that might have hurt as well. But I'm not going to harp on that. The camera work of putting Braun Breaker in spots to like come out of nowhere and just spear motherfuckers, or come out of nowhere with flying clotheslines.
Yeah, when he jumped in front of the commentary desk and he just came out of nowhere. Oh man, that was great.
I loved the excellent build around that, just to make him feel even more vibrant and fucking more electric and more garnishing of all energy. He's energy times 7.
He's a star, man. He's a stud. Yeah. He's going up to the top. There's no way. You can't stop this guy.
He's like Goldberg with real charisma and substance in a way. Goddamn, Farrell, what did you think of this 3-way? I loved it.
It was great. It was just, like you said, with the camera angles, like things came in as a surprise the way it was shot. And even in person, the crowd was into it. So obviously, like, it wasn't just that we were being tricked with camera tricks. Like the camera shot of when Sheamus came up behind the barrier there, like a movie monster, and then just laying in the beats of the Bowery. That was great. Like, it was just fun. It was fun, and that's what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Jeremy, how many of these near falls did you actually bite? Because I would say there was one hard one with Sheamus that I got. I knew, I was like, all right, where's Ludwig? But I'm like, holy shit, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
The timing was fucking excellent. But there was like 3 or 4 total, but like honestly 2 each from each challenger, and what a few from Breaker earlier. So maybe like 5 or 6 that were legit like, wow, they're doing a good job of working here and making you believe that these pinfalls are actually going to happen. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to even outmark myself here. They just changed one the US title on a whim and made it, that was like a shocker. They're going to shock us again here, right? Like I think they're going to do it with these fucking kickouts, because it was just built so well, Jeremy.
Not only the kickouts, but the way they kept, like, I don't want to say harping, but they kept saying Sheamus has not won this belt. And I'm thinking, it could happen, because Sheamus is getting a little older, and maybe he's going to slow down, because he's been kind of in and out for the last 2 years. And that one near fall he got on Braun when Kaiser pulled the referee out. That's when they got me. I thought that was it, and they got me with that one. So I'm like, oh, that's it. And he pulls the ref out. I'm like, son of a bitch, man. But that's good, because that, maybe interested in the match even more. And it was just, they did a great job. And again, you mentioned the camera angles. that spot with pulling the referee out, we've seen it 100 times, but it only works when the camera, you don't see the guy. If they show him coming, it doesn't work. And the referee just randomly getting pulled out just works so well. Oh man, it was great. That's probably my favorite near fall of the whole match. It was awesome.
Yeah, with a plethora of good ones. Matt, were you a little shocked that Sheamus took the pinfall? They harped on all night that he has never been Intercontinental Champion. He's kind of thriving to be it. He's been in the company for freaking 15 years, and he still hasn't been Intercontinental Championship. But the reason why I didn't think that he was going to win it, I thought Luke would have had a chance if they were going to actually have Braun lose, is they didn't harp on it leading in. And if they were going to have Sheamus, especially because they've done it in the past, right? If they were going to have Sheamus maybe be a threat, I thought they would have harped on it coming in, but they harped on it night of, which kind of was like, I don't really think they're going to go there. But maybe Ludwig, since Gunther has been challenging him so much, has a chance. But were you surprised that Sheamus was pinned with my initial question?
No. I mean, I think you're putting way too much thought into it, Ryan. Sit back and relax and watch the match, man. But no, I wasn't surprised because I think they're starting this. Sheamus needs this to this is the cherry on the top of his career Sunday, and you don't have it happen in Survivor Series, that match that got scheduled the week before. It needs to be a one-on-one big spot, whether it's Mania or a show in the United Kingdom.
Or a built-up main event.
And so if you have him get pinned here, he can't say, despite getting shillelagh whacked and all this, he can't say, well, I didn't get pinned, I should get another shot. This kind of puts him back for a while because, like Jeremy said, Sheamus is getting up there. He's starting to fall apart. He can't go on that full schedule. He's got to go away for a little bit, come back for that big moment, and if we have Ludwig get pinned, Sheamus should be coming back for another shot, and I don't think that's what they want right now or what Sheamus needs right now.
Yeah,
they could definitely do it on a Saturday night's main event since they brought that back. Like that would work perfectly for that, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good nice showcase for that. We'll see, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I assume that Sheamus is going to win the Intercontinental Championship in his career. So why keep having him take pinfalls and not protect him? Why protect Ludwig over him in the interim, right? When the overall perception, I feel that Sheamus, is more likely to be your Intercontinental Champion besides Ludwig. Even though I thought coming in that Ludwig would win it maybe here other than Sheamus just because of the build coming in. So overall, great match. I don't know if the bar was so low with the two matches coming in being so middling or if they totally kicked it out of the park. But overall, kick-ass three-way IC match. I dug it a lot. All right, next match we have here is Gunther defeating Damian Priest again on a pay-per-view by technical submission in 19 minutes and 20 seconds. I feel like the pace of this one was a lot slower, but that doesn't affect me whatsoever. I'm all about the slow builds, all the slow story. I love the arm work from Gunther, taking away that limb from Priest, trying to give him an advantage. Just overall, very good. Maybe not tip tier Gunther match. Were you surprised to see Priest come in here, Jeremy, towards the tail end? And I do like the reaction of Gunther saying, "Motherfucker, I'm doing this one alone. I got him. I don't need your little 175-pound ass jumping in here. And let the big hosses battle this out for the world title. The ring is prestigious. Get the fuck out of here with that drop kick or whatever he did to Balor." But were you disappointed that Balor came in here and kind of took away from it? And are you more disappointed that Priest versus Judgment Day is still a thing?
I think it's Priest versus Judgment Day, but I will say I don't think Priest is terrible on the mic or in the ring, but to me, I don't think he fits here. To me, this was the most predictable match on the card. I kind of checked out a lot of it because I'm like, Priest is still dealing with Baylor. They never really settled anything from there because I think we previewed that match at Hell in a Cell, that tag match.
Yeah.
And so to put, there's no way, nobody could have ever thought Priest was going to win this match. So, and it's like, Gunther's awesome. Gunther's great. He's on a roll from the IC title. And I know he needs to beat people. So I guess Priest can be cannon fodder, but I just didn't. I mean, it's predictable, and it was an okay match. It was passable. This is one I don't think needed to be on pay-per-view. I think this could have been on a SmackDown or a Raw, and it wouldn't have changed anything. I was kind of happy Baylor showed up because I'm like, at least something cool is going to happen. Because other than that, I mean, I like watching Gunther kick the crap out of people, but after a while, it's like, kind of just put this guy out of his misery, like get it over with already. But that's just me.
Yeah, and Farrell, with Gunther's style, I'm a big fan of it, as you know. But I feel that just like the bar is so high, for them to hit a very good match is a little bit disappointing. And for Jeremy to bring that sentiment here, I don't disagree with it. I think that I was a little bit more disappointed that we're still doing the Balor thing of it all. Right. So honestly, I don't know. I feel that Gunther obviously wasn't going to lose 2 pay-per-views in a row, losing at Crown Jewel and then giving him a quick win here. Do you think Priest kind of fit the billing for that? And where are you at with Priest? Does he kind of hurt coming out of here? And is he more hurt going back into a Judgment Day feud, or is that a way to kind of heat him up? Personally, let me get my long-windedness out of the way. I feel that they're kind of building to a Priest versus Judgment Day loser must leave Raw type of match. That's where I kind of got coming out of it, because I think SmackDown would be perfect for Priest. All right, take any of that, Matt, and go.
Well, I mean, when they had their first match at SummerSlam that my lovely wife surprised me with tickets for, and I appreciate it greatly. It was better that time, and I feel like we did everything again tonight, just not as well. The match was a notch below. The Balor interference was a notch below. The finish was the same. It just felt not as good. It was there to give Gunther a win after a loss, and we didn't want to have Priest lose twice. So here's Finn to have something for a reason to go after, but we've already been there. I don't know. It just seems like there's nothing for Gunther to do right now.
There's just no challengers, or they're saving them for the highlights that are coming up, like Netflix, like the Rumble, right? I'm sure Gunther will have a moment on Saturday Night's Main Event. I don't feel like he's going to have a match. I feel like that world title scene is for Cody and Cody only. So maybe perhaps with Cody missing out tonight, Gunther was in his shoes to have the big world title match, right? And I don't know, I just didn't feel like they had enough juice here. I don't feel like Priest didn't have enough juice to live up to the aura of a Gunther world title match or a Gunther big fight match, right? For the last few years, anyways, of course. And they had a great one at SummerSlam. I just didn't feel like it hit that. Probably like 3.5. And like I said, the bar being that low, the bar being so high, for them to only hit 3.5 seems like a disappointing in my eyes. But overall, it was more there than not. And honestly, yeah, I kind of did nod off a little bit too with like you, Jeremy.
I wondered if maybe we needed like a stipulation of some sort, but I don't know what you would have used to spice it up,
Yeah.
But I will say this. I do like that when Baylor came down and attacked Priest, that Gunther kicked him right in the head afterwards.
So
like,
good.
I don't need you, buddy, Yeah. I thought that was phenomenal. That was probably the best part of the match.
Yeah, that really was great. And Balor was like, "What the fuck, dude?" Like, right?
Yeah, and like the story going in was Gunther didn't have confidence, but I feel like they didn't tell that in the match. And then, but that is the story they told in the earlier U.S. title match, and there it actually played out. But that wasn't the story until like the bell rang, and it almost feels like like the notes got crossed up backstage and the wrong guys grabbed the wrong stack of papers.
The wrong agent went to the wrong lunch table and they're like, oh, fuck, man, what the hell? We fucked that up.
Yeah, like that. Like it seemed like a body Freaky Friday situation.
Jamie Noble and Robbie Roode was like, fuck, we fucked up, man. What the fuck, right? So excellent. All right, we're here at the main event, guys. Not a lot of Gaga or backstage stuff in between, by the way, not leading into this. Usually get a skit or two, right? Not much this tonight.
Well, we had that one with Otis, that backstage thing with them.
Oh, yeah, that was a little more of an advertisement. But yeah, I thought that
yeah, other than that, they didn't have a lot of backstage stuff at all, really. It was more packages than anything.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't mind it. There was enough in ring here to keep going. Overall, where are you guys? It's fucking 10:25 on the East Coast here. The pay-per-view was over at 9:30. 6 o'clock start. Where are we at on that before we get into the main event?
I didn't I kind of missed the beginning of the women's match because I didn't think it was coming on till 6 or 7. And I click on her, I'm like, oh, let's just check and see where they're at on the pre-show. And I'm like, holy crap, it started. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of nice that they had it a little earlier. I love that when they're in Saudi and they have them at 1 PM. It's like I can watch it and I still got my evening ahead of me. It's great.
Yeah.
And just depends on what my schedule is.
Yeah, it made it easy for me because I am, what time is it? 10:30. I am 52 hours into a 3-day water fast. So I haven't had a mouthful of food since 6 o'clock on Thanksgiving.
Golly.
So I would like it starting at 6 was just cool with me, kind of distract me from that. Now I'm at nighttime. I've made the day. Like I'm good. Like tomorrow's another day. I'm getting through of it. I have all this weird energy right now. Maybe that's why I'm looking too much into the matches. Because I'm all like super hyper focused because like I'm like using like brain cells that I haven't used in years because I'm fasting. So it fucks with your body. But anyways, we're here at the main event. It's been saving this comment. Matt Carpenter, what up, dudes? What a WarGames match. The OG bloodline reigns supreme. No pun intended. Thanks, Matt, for checking out the show. And I saved your comment here towards the start of this match. Boys, I was pretty high on 2022 as a WarGames match. I think I gushed about it on when I was still doing clotheslines and headlines for about 17 minutes when we had a guest, and I don't think anyone talked besides me for 17 minutes straight because I had this big soliloquy of why I thought that match was 4.5 stars, I think I went 4 3/4, and why I fucking loved it. And I don't care. It was all about the story, and it was all about the presentation of the bloodline, of the culmination of bringing Sami Zayn into the WarGames, into the family, him doing the right thing for the family that he has kind of adopted himself onto. He is no longer a court gesture. He is a member of the bloodline, and it would only last for 2 months. But as a honorary use, right? So we're still getting breadcrumbs here 2 years later. The story of this match was built fantastically. The day after, or the SmackDown after WrestleMania, Solo Sikoa brings in Tama Tonga, calls himself the leader of the bloodline. Roman Reigns has failed us as the tribal chief after a 3.5-4-year title reign. He is no longer the tribal chief. The throne is empty, and I am going to take it over. And that has all been built into here, where he is building his family, isolating himself around himself as tribal chief. And this is his moment to prove that he is the true tribal chief after pretending to be tribal chief for all 7 or 8 months since WrestleMania. Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, finally Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf, and then he brings in a slick way, Bronson Reed, and he fits like a glove. That is your bloodline team heading into here. And then the OG bloodline that I was just gushing about. They were victorious in 2022. Will they be a 2 times champion, WarGames winner? And they are defeating the OG bloodline of Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk, defeating the bloodline at 41 minutes and 55 seconds. It did not drag whatsoever like the women's match. I was enthralled within the whole structure of the match. I thought it was excellent. Perhaps maybe one of the best WarGames matches of the WWE umbrella. We'll see, but I will go back and rewatch it because I am a psycho. Probably I probably should do it tomorrow while I have this fasting brain on and I can kind of get like hyper focused and I'm not bogged down by sugar and carbs. Right, Matt Farrell? But anyways, I thought it was beautifully built, the teams wise, structure wise. I love how they got us here. Pretty much since Crown Jewel, or pretty much since SummerSlam, where Roman Reigns returned, slowly bringing the Usos back together. Jay and Sammy interweaving on Raw together, trusting each other, building the bond back together. All of that coming together, and then we need the fifth guy. Jeremy, what did you think when CM Punk was the fifth guy? Do you think it warranted it? And then if you didn't think it warranted it, you're like, oh wow, it makes sense. What did you think of CM Punk coming in?
I liked the addition. I thought it was going to be Brock Lesnar, but I'm happy
that yep.
Yeah, but I like that CM Punk because, that whole favor that, Wise Man asked him for, take him with him, I like that. Like, that just added intrigue, and I'm a Punk fan anyway. What I really liked was that sit down they had last night at SmackDown with him and Reigns. That whole thing, beautiful, just perfect, just added so much. It's so little to it's just them talking, but it added so much to the match, right? Like, they didn't have to do a whole lot, and it upped everything. And I thought his addition, I thought it made sense. I thought it was great, and it turned out perfect. It was great.
Yeah, I even like the baseline music. It's like overproduced, but it just worked.
Yeah.
Farrell, you got anything to add on that before we kind of jump into the meat and potato of the match? What did you think of the build? What did you think of the SmackDown sit down? And did you think Punk warranted it?
I was glad it was Punk. It makes sense with Heyman that he's doing it for Heyman, not for Roman. And I was really glad that it wasn't Rollins, because those are the breadcrumbs they were leaving, and that would have made me mad because Rollins sacrificed everything to defeat Roman at WrestleMania, and then for him to be like, psych, I'll help you, like, just so he could fight Reed one more time. Like, he's allowed to sign contracts outside of WarGames. That wouldn't make any sense. I'm glad that those were what are they? Red herring. That's the phrase.
Yeah. I will say, though, I do love how they did the red herring with Rollins to introduce Reed for the other side, and then to add to Punk, and even to add to Reigns. It's just layers on layers with this whole bloodline things. It mostly always makes sense, if not all the time.
The only thing I would have wanted is I would have wanted Reigns to have some mea culpa. He still kind of seemed to be like kind of a dick.
I think we got a little bit at the end, though. We did get
no, I meant in the way in, like, for Jay to be like, okay, and Sammy was like, I demand the apology for Jay, to not get it and then still just join in, and like they gave these ultimatums to Reigns that he did not meet, but they still joined up with him.
The thing is, I still think that they met that with the entrances, right? I feel that, the bloodline, let's not confuse things. Solo's bloodline came in as a team. Very 2001 Patriots-esque, right? So it's like, they might win. The Patriots came in. They didn't come out and didn't the Patriots way, right?
That's the last time I was rooting for the Patriots.
Hey. All right, we're not going down that road. Anyways, all right, calm down, Browns. All right, anyways, I do feel that Roman not coming out last, giving it to Jay, right? Because just because Jay started the WarGames doesn't mean that he needs to come out last, right? I do feel that they did a good job of like kind of presenting everyone as equals with the entrances. Because Solo did it his way, so they were a team. But I feel like the individuals came together in a team-like way for the OG bloodline, but they were presented as equals with the entrances. So two different things, but the same results of team. That's where, like you guys harped on before, the women didn't have that team aspect, but I felt like with the men here, we definitely had that team aspect. Do you guys feel that coming in?
I guess I just wanted more to have them come back together. I felt like there could have been more moments on this road. That's
What
all.
I
I guess
what I liked
I'm being greedy.
what I liked about the entrances, like you had said, is that they had individuality, but they also had a unity. And it's like they can come out individually, but as soon as they get out there, they're they're together, they're hugging, they're good gaming each other, and it felt like it felt like Solo is more about himself and everybody's for his greater good, whereas the Roman side is about all of them, not just one, right?
Yeah.
And that's why like Jay got to come out last. Otherwise, you thought Roman was going to come out last, right? Because he's the tribal chief. Giving it to Jay, that's a bold move and a big statement. Like that just shows that they were together. They were ready to go.
Yeah, it's like Roman was masking. I mean, excuse me, it was like Solo was masking his leadership, right? Where you had a bunch of individuals coming together and there's no real leader, right? With the OG bloodlines. Two different presentations in a way, but kind of a little bit of the same result.
And I like the story they told that those guys wouldn't be here without Solo, so that's why they're so dedicated to him.
Yeah, it's a great call.
It wasn't like before where they were already there, but they're all Roman's beating them down. Like this time, it's like, no, he's bad. He's bad, but we're here because of him, and we owe it to him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what did you guys think of Tama Tonga and his hyena-like mannerisms around the cage, starting it for the bloodline? And do you think Jay was the perfect foil to start for the OGs?
I mean, I think they did well picking the starters as opposed to the women's match. Guys who were big enough to start it, good enough to start it, but also not the top tier, so you could build to it. I thought it was the perfect two guys.
Yeah, the Usos essentially starting it was the right thing. The first two guys in from the original bloodline, like that made sense because they could, they weren't going to be cannon fodder, but they also weren't the guys. But that's like we said earlier, that's the Arn Andersons, right? That's who you want to start because they cut a good pace. They don't overdo stuff. They don't underwhelm either. And it gets everything just a nice, smooth takeoff. And that's what we got. What I loved was when like Roman held back Punk. I was like, nope, Sammy goes out. And then when Punk's like Roman's about to go up, Punk's like, nope, and just usurps right past him. Like that was great the way they did that. It was perfect. It was wonderful.
Yeah, the precursor was that too, was when Tama Loa was about to go in, he said, nope, send the werewolf. And I like how that was the highlight or the introduction because of Jacob Fatu as this menacing, wild werewolf. Badass, and it really set the tone, and it put the OGs into even more danger and more, oh shit, like already Fatu's gonna go in there, he's just gonna rip everyone's head off. Fucking rest in peace, Jay. And they did a good job beating him down. Jimmy with a hot tag, no pun intended, was the second man in for the OGs, and we were kind of equal sledding until Werewolf was too overpowering, right? And we saw Tama Tonga, the heels maintain their advantage that they won last night on SmackDown. And we're halfway through the introductions to all these men of the bloodline. I still didn't think that we had the mistrials that we had in the women's match. I thought that the pace and the excitement was definitely there. I didn't feel like there was any bad WWE tropes into WarGames. I felt like we were into real WarGames. I felt that the teams were aligned. They wanted each other's back. And in ring, it was snug. It was good. We were rolling. We were halfway there, and everything is what it should be.
I like that before Roman being the last guy, to me, it felt like the new bloodline beating down the OG bloodline. It was like a work of art. It felt like a horseman beat down. And I also like that they didn't use a bunch of weapons. There were some, and there were some tables, but it wasn't like the women's where it was just plunder everywhere, right? it was all about hard hitting moves, impactful moves that made sense. Like that makes sense why they did this move instead of let's just do a swanton off the top of the cage. Like what they did made sense, and that made the match even better.
Yeah, it played into the structure and the story of the match, and the toys weren't the structure in the story like it was with the women. So yeah, I like Sammy. Punk, like you mentioned earlier, Jeremy, Punk was eager to get in there halfway through to even the odds 3-3. He sent Sammy. Curious why he was thinking that, Farrell. Do you think that it was just more like, all right, they have more chemistry together. The chemistry is needed right now within from the team aspect. Punk, let's kind of save you to the end.
I think it was more you're not a part of this, Punk. So you're going in last because we have to have 5, not because we want you in there. So that's why you cut him off and send Sammy. And then you send Sammy instead of yourself so you can make sure that Punk doesn't get in next because you're already in the ring. So it leads to that distrust that he's not bloodline. He's here as a business decision. And I think it set that up. It sets up that tension later because if there's no tension in the OG bloodline, why are they not winning? So you have to have that tension to build that doubt. So I think that's why Roman did that.
Yep. And then we get him. We finally get him. And that is Tonga Loa. I'm sorry. 5-2. Tonga Loa is the 4th one in.
Yeah, I was like, why are you so excited for Tonga Loa?
I botched it like him.
Couldn't get the tables in.
Couldn't get anything in early. Yeah. So actually, Reed, right? I miss Reed. Reed was earlier on. I like that they put Reed in there pretty much right away to kind of add substance to it and kind of make sure that like the nail was fucking in the wood, and we were trying to just have substance of beef throughout the whole War Games. I thought Reed was a highlight for him in Fatu, but I feel that Reed really highlighted his highlight of just like badassery, and his trajectory up is still soaring high and high, and he's growing on a lot of people. I had a buddy over who just kind of just medals, right? And he's not a day-to-day guy. He watches the big shows. He'll watch Raw or SmackDown when he can. And at first he was like, I wasn't into Reed, but man, he's one of my favorite guys now. And I was like, no shit. So, kudos to them and kudos to Reed for stepping up and filling the shoes right there. So that's a me on a Tonga Loa fuck up right there. Reed was awesome. I kind of wanted to put a highlight on him right there.
Yeah, I mean, I watched this with my 8-year-old daughter, and she's never really watched anything. And Reed comes in, and she's like, "Oh, this isn't fair. He is too big," and he's smashing people, and she's like, "This is cheating." so that was enjoyable for me to see her like that.
Yeah, he's just I can't believe it because but first when he came back, I was like, man, he's kind of forced. I could see why the regime before him didn't really see it. He is what he is, and I don't think he's really for me. I think he's just like a good tag guy at the end of the day. But they buckled him up and strapped him up, and he's living up to the hype. He's doing a lot of the work too, right? Did you think we were going to get a tsunami in here? Do you think the tsunami lived up to it? Goddamn, right? Like, fuck it, we'll get to the meat and potatoes of it, right? Right, Punk's in, then Solo, then Roman. I like that Roman had to climb in and actually gave us a high spot, added to the excitement, and we were ready to go rock and roll for the final 20 minutes. I think we had 20 minutes of bell time once everyone entered the War Games. And Roman set the frantic toil right away with jumping off the cage. I thought that was really cool.
I like that when he jumped off the cage and took everyone out, because initially I thought, man, I kind of hope he rips the door and breaks the chain like Kane did, But then when he started climbing the cage, I was like, well, that makes more sense. And then it worked out even better because he took everybody out, gave And it made sense because it gave him a chance to get his guys up. And then we got that awesome West Side Story shot of both teams, which was phenomenal. Like, holy crap, that was great. It made so much sense because then you just let them go. Everybody's in there finally. Time to start War Games. The wise man comes down. He's like, it's War Games. And I'm sitting there going, that's not the wise man. That's like Paulie Dangerously again, right? From the Dangerous Alliance. Like, this is great, you know? And, oh, man.
Sting Squadron. Let's go.
Yeah. It was great. It was great.
So, right away, we had a kerfuffle between Punk and Roman after the high spot and the Broadway show of the mid ring that they did. I think Roman speared Punk when he was going to give a GTS to someone, and it was Solo, and that was like the only clunky fuck up that I kind of felt that I saw. Really, a match like this, you gotta have your T's crossed and your I's dotted, man. You need everyone in their place because the margin of error is so thin. But I feel like we did get a margin of error with the messed up spear GTS spot with Solo, Roman, and Punk. I'm not sure what laid out there, but it didn't take me out of it whatsoever. They smooth transition out of the botch, and I'm glad they got the distrust out of the way because that was building within the structure of last night's promo and the structure of the shark cage that they had before. So I'm glad that they played into it, and I'm glad they got it out of the way quick.
I think it was Solo that had just a misstep in timing, and Roman was like a second ahead of him. But to have that one mistake in this entire thing is really good. Like, and right? I can't hold that against them. And like you said, they went right back into it. Like, they didn't stop. They didn't try to redo anything. They just went right back into it. And I like that there was a little bit of, we kind of knew something was going to happen, right? To tease some dissension. But I like that they didn't go full on and it like cost them the match and everything like that. Because we still got some dissension, but then they worked through it, which I thought was great.
Yeah, good shit. Farrell, who do you think your MVP of the pre-game War Games is so far, if we haven't mentioned it? And what did you think of the pace that they set coming into it?
It's got to be Jacob Fatu, but the pre just wrecking shop and being a monster and kind of being the big bad until everything started. And it flowed well with the heel advantage and just beat down, and here comes the savior, and each good guy got to be a savior. But the pace went well. You were ready. They, like Jeremy called it, the West Side Story, where everybody stands up and we're about to face off here, and how Heyman through the cage kind of ends the disunity between Punk and Roman of you will be destroyed if you don't get over this. And it kind of it was almost like it was act 2 and here we go. Time for the rising action.
Yeah, I do like the organic feel of them coming together, even though it felt a little contrived, to force coming in, but it should have been, right? It's so new to them. They did a good job of setting it up, like I just said. But I'm glad that once they felt their opponents and felt that their pressure their back was against the wall and the pressure of the War Games, and all right, we can't let Heyman down, or we have pride, we want to win this. I felt that the unity together was organic and fit the part. Overall, fantastic. Like the super kicks, like didn't feel like there were too many of them, and if so, they were timely. Sammy got just enough stuff to feel as equal to the guys as the Usos as a whole, and then Punk and Roman. I don't think that anyone stood out of place. We didn't get a Tonga Loa fuck up, so to speak. I don't think they gave him just enough to kind of feel menacing, because star power wise, the bloodline, not the OGs, is extremely lacking. You have Solo, who's kind of forced. You have Fatu, who is not ready. You have Reed on the rise. And then you have the two other guys. Tama Tonga is the glue, and Tonga Loa is kind of like a joke, right? So they did a great job of kind of filling the shoes from a star power and a substance and a threatening aspect throughout the whole night. And what did you guys, I brought the Roman Reigns in the tsunami spot. Did you actually feel that tsunami was going to happen when Roman Reigns was there? Because I was watching with Eli. He's like, there's no way he's taking that. I was like, fuck, I don't know. But Punk split timing, that was the moment that kind of officially brought them together. And that's where Roman gained the trust and the respect of Punk, right? So I feel that spot in history will show something in the future, right? I feel like we can't forget about that spot for whatever reason. Someone taking someone off a table with the trust and letting his guard down. I feel like that's going to be a pivotal part of whatever story we will see with Roman, Punk, and Heyman in the future. Mark your calendar for that one whenever that favor comes or whenever the pivotal moment comes. I feel like we're going to be harping on that, and we're going to be like,
yeah. I mean, Punk saved his career and story because, I mean, one tsunami off the top rope, it's done. You're done. So from the top of the cage through a table, like that's a kill shot.
And he already had his bump off the cage, right?
Yeah. So like that. And when he pulled him off, a lot of times when someone pulls him off the table or saves someone, they kind of put their hand on him. Then all of a sudden the guy springs to life and gets off. But this seemed more like Punk like grabbed him and cradled him like a baby and like saved him. It wasn't like I've somehow magically woken you with my hand on your thigh. It was a rescue. And I think it really made it look a lot better.
I think what else I liked about it was that a lot of times in matches like this, guys would be like, well, I won't save him because, I end up, at the end of the day, I don't like him. But here they were like, this is about the greater good. This is about winning the match, not my personal issues or vendettas. And he saved him. And it's like, he can use that later on and say, hey, I saved you. But at the time, it's like they're focused on the match. They're actually being smart. And sometimes the wrestlers aren't smart. They're like, yeah, whatever, get beat up. I don't like you anyway. But here they're like, screw that. We have to win. I have to save him, And then because Punk's Punk, at some point, like you said, it's going to come up. He's going to be like, do you remember when I saved you? Well, now it's time for a favor. It's time to pay me back, kind of a thing. So to me, it just made sense. It all made sense.
Yeah. All right.
I do want to say this before we move on. The spot where Jacob Patu took that Bulldog onto the toolbox and then hulked up, that was great. Like, oh my god, I marked out from that because I'm like, holy crap, this guy's gonna tear some people up. Like that, all you did was piss him off, right? It was great. Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Also, a callback to their SummerSlam match where he kind of had the knee injury, right? I was like, fuck, did he fuck up his knee again? I'm like, oh, he did it at SummerSlam. He's probably playing into us a little bit there. But yeah, I thought that also, speaking of injuries, did Jimmy get a little banged up with that table spot? Because he at the end of the match, Sammy and Jay were helping him back. And he was the one to give the big splash off the top of the cage and deliver it to who got that? Did Fatu get that? Yeah, I think Fatu got that. Was the one that took out Fatu. So, whereas as they should, Reed and Fatu should have menacing spots to take them out of a match structure like this, especially. Yeah, was a little kayfabe? Is he all right there?
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully. But it seemed like he was banged up before because while he was on the top rope, and then like he just sat there while Jay was getting pounded, and he was just like sitting there waiting until eventually Sammy came and saved him.
It did feel like he was waiting a fucking minute. You're not kidding.
Yeah, it's like, why are you letting your brother get the crap kicked out of him? Like, either get up and take out Fatu, but he was just like, oh, my twin's getting beat up. Let me watch this for a while. That was weird. So I'm thinking like maybe whatever was bothering him was already bothering him, and jumping off 15 feet through a table is not going to make whatever's bothering you feel any better. I get hurt sleeping, so I don't. know how you can even do that.
That's just old age for us waking up in pain.
It's also being fat. No.
Try water fast. Anyways,
all right. I can go to a whole new transcend to a new wave of thinking.
All right. Anyways, so did you think that Solo warranted this finish of the super kick from Jay, the super kick from Jimmy, the double super kick from the Usos together, the haluva kick, the go to sleep into the ropes for the spear, little overdone, nail in the coffin? What say you, Jeremy? Do you think that it was warranted, all of that, for Solo Sikoa?
Yeah, I mean, it's like he got his just desserts. Everyone's hitting L1 and hitting their finishers, and it's like you finally see the bad guy who's gotten away with all this crap and just done all this damage finally gets his. Like, everyone finally gets their shot at him. The only thing is, like, you kind of killed him. You can't have him come back out next Friday and go, well, I'm still here. Like, he needs to be. If I were I would keep him off TV and have him come back in the Rumble as a surprise entrant. I wouldn't have him on TV. I'd have him just hidden away. Let the other guys, they can come back. It's fine. And they can be kind of like lost without a leader. But I like that they did this, but at the same time, like, they should, hopefully they follow up and do the right thing. Because if he just comes out next Friday, what was the point of it? Like, it doesn't mean anything.
I do agree that he should have some time elapsed before his next appearance. But I will say, Farrell, Michael Cole did harpen right away after the pinfall that Solo Sikoa is still holds the Olafala, or whatever the fuck it's called, right? Yeah. So we are clearly getting Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa for the Olafala. Saturday night's main event feels too soon.
Yeah.
If they want to do it on the start of Netflix Raw, neither of them are on Raw, but I don't think that matters at this time of the year. And then, is it a cute way to keep Roman out of the Rumble by doing that as like a singles match at the Rumble? But then what does that lead for Roman? Because if they do Solo versus Roman at WrestleMania, your boy is going to be a little tight. Again, I don't get mad at wrestling, but that Solo Sikoa does not deserve to have a Roman Reigns match. And if the card isn't deep enough up top for Roman Reigns to have a throwaway Solo Sikoa Ulafala fucking match at WrestleMania, Rumble at the very least, maybe even day one of Netflix or day one of SmackDown, if they want to give SmackDown something. Chamber.
They got the Chamber. Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, I think Solo, you're holding them off for this Ulafala match, and you're also saving him because I assume Rock is going to be involved in whatever Roman's doing at Mania in some way, and so Solo's because you never know if the Rock's actually going to show up. So Solo's your in case of emergency break glass Roman match. I'd
rather do Jacob. I'd rather even do Bronson Reed.
I mean, so that whole it's all that backup available. And then the sooner the sooner you go through the other stuff. But yeah, he did throw that out there, and I do agree with Jeremy. Like, Solo wasn't taking all those hits because he was the big bad that needed to take all those hits to be beaten. It was because he was getting his comeuppance from everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have lived without the GTS because I feel like that Punk didn't need to give him comeuppance. You know what I mean? But I did like the ending. I like how Roman did offer kind of the olive branch because he is family, and Solo didn't take it. Solo was going to go down on his sword. So,
which I like that. I like that Solo's like, yeah, I'm going down swinging. That was good.
I'm not going to acknowledge you. I'm going down. You're going to have to kill me.
All right. So all that being said, I thought it was fantastic. I liked it a lot. Not a lot of fucking gaga, all story, violence within the WWE structure. With that being said, do you think that this lives up historically to being one of the better war game matches and probably one of the best within the WWE structure? I don't see a women's match beating it. I think it was better than last year's. 2022, I would venture I'm pretty high on. But I don't really think there's an NXT match that comes close to this either. So this is top 2 for WWE. Fuck, we did our WarGames countdown last year, 94, 91, 92, all higher than this, 89, right? But I don't want to be a prisoner of time, but where do you guys stack this? Did it live up to the hype?
I mean, I would put it's either 1 or 2. It's either 2 years ago or this year. I mean, and I think because the Sammy being brought in and then the great moment at the Rumble almost kind of in retrospect bumps the WarGames up.
Yeah.
We'll see where this goes in 2 months, and maybe that helps you decide which one of the two is better. But they're both great.
Like in 2 years ago, we had culminations of stories and we had peak arcs. Do you feel that we hit like a peak arc tonight, Jeremy? Or do you think that we were just satisfied and had like a really stellar, excellent WarGames match?
I think we had a really stellar because I think it's better than from 2 years ago. Because I think we had all that build up, we had Punk, we had Sammy came back and Bronson Reed got thrown in there, and it all makes sense. None of it is gaga, right? None of it's dumb. It all perfectly fits together. And then the match itself was so good that I don't know how anybody could find any real fault with it. Everything makes sense, and it's just, I don't know where they go from here. But I think we just got a good satisfying match here. I don't think it's the end, but I think we may have already peaked and we're kind of on the down. How much more can we do this? How much longer can it go?
Yeah, I mean, WarGames is the pinnacle. There's nothing above it. Unless we're bringing guns and knives, and then I don't think that's really what we got here.
I will say this:
they were close to the women's games. It felt like.
I like that Rollins was not a factor, and I was worried he was going to come in at some point.
Me too.
But I like that he wasn't here. He just had the night off. I like that Rhodes wasn't here. All the shine for this night was put on the Bloodline, both sides. There was nobody else coming in to take any of the spotlight away. It was good. It's exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah, I agree. I like that we got to a very satisfying in-ring aspect, not story aspect. I feel like there's plenty to chew on, but there's plenty time to do that. Let me read this WrestleView tweet that we kind of had a few minutes ago. Tonight marks the unofficial start of the most important and unpredictable stretch in WWE history. Over the next 140 days, the return of Saturday night's main event, Raw's Netflix debut, a second Saturday night's main event on NBC, a dome-sized Royal Rumble, the Chamber at the Sky Dome, and both nights of WrestleMania 41. So if the Survivor Series felt somewhat underwhelmed to you, it's likely by design. I did not read that sentiment of a tweet before I kind of laid that last sentence out to you guys. But I kind of agree that we didn't, from a story aspect, we didn't get that, right? Like we were just talking about. I just unconsequentially saw that. And that's kind of the tone that we had. But I feel that we are totally satisfied from an in-ring aspect with this WarGames match. And it didn't need the story because the story's coming out of it, not in the interment, but more of the fallout. Do you guys see the trees, the forest and the trees or whatever that fucking phrase is? Do you see that what the favor is yet? Do you see that? Can you feel it? Is it intimate? Is it sooner than later? Do you have a feel for it, or you don't even want to know yet?
I don't want to know. I just want to take the ride. I mean,
yeah, I like it being
the last chapter of the book first.
Yeah, I like it being the MacGuffin where I don't really know, and I can't think of anything it would be. So I'm like, all right, thrill me, surprise me. Yeah. It'll be fun.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, we're at the end here of this WarGames post show. Overall, I thought it was a successful pay-per-view that kind of build out throughout, very old school-esque. Batshit start that just was put a poor taste in your mouth and gives WarGames a bad taste. gives WarGames a bad name, but then we had a totally acceptable, awesome WarGames to close it. Jeremy, overall, I'm 2 thumbs up on this pay-per-view.
I'll give it 2 thumbs up, and I'll tell you, it's the sweet and the sour, my friend, because the sweet is never a sweet without the sour. We had to have the bad to get the good.
But it bastardized the WarGames name. I can't get over that. Matt, overall, what's your feeling?
No, yeah, 2 thumbs up. I mean, the women's one wasn't great, but it wasn't like awful where I was like, what am I doing with my life? Which there's been times that has occurred. It just wasn't.
I'll give them that, I guess.
Yeah, and then the mid-card title matches did what they were supposed to do, and the world title match was fine. It wasn't SummerSlam, but I'll just remember SummerSlam. I don't need that. This was about the last hour, and the last hour was a grand slam. So,
yep.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday night's main event, and perhaps we'll see you here on YouTube in 2 weeks for that. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. We'll see what I'm up to, or whoever, guys. So that's it for now, guys. Matt, thank you. Jeremy, thank you. And guys, we'll see you in the next one.
All right, thanks, Ryan.